Afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, you are more than welcome to the Aviva Stadium in Dublin for the start of the Guinness Six Nations for 2022. It's Ireland against Wales. It kicks off a festival of rugby. Well, after all the concerns and issues surrounding COVID, we are back with full stadia in this part of the world, in Ireland through the UK, France and Italy. This weekend, these are the three games that will light up the start of this Northern Hemisphere Championship. Ireland against Wales coming shortly. It's the Calcutta Cup between Scotland and England. And then tomorrow, France against Italy. All those times in GMT, add or subtract, depending where you are in the world. So the Aviva Stadium readies itself. There are a couple of empty seats, as you'll see, but they will be full. It is a sellout. Restrictions in Ireland lifted a couple of weeks ago, which means that all those who can come, who want to come, who've been able to come are here, and we even have travelling support. What a rare sight to see supporters from the opposing nation in the stadium, and it is great to see how welcome they are. There is the Irish changing room. They are readying themselves as they are in the Welsh changing room. And the scene almost set. The weather conditions are a little tricky. The rain isn't so much of an issue. The wind most definitely is. And when it gets into the bowl that is the Aviva Stadium, well, it can do funny things. There is rain also, heavier rain. There has been some spots forecast for later on in the day. But we will worry about all that as it comes or doesn't. What lies ahead is what should be a very, very special afternoon. It's the 133rd meeting of Wales and Ireland, a fixture that dates back all the way to 1882. Ireland have won 55 of the previous games, Wales 70. There have been 7 draws, the last of those back in 2016 when it finished 16 points apiece. So then the teams due to arrive on what is always a very special day, the start of the Six Nations. It's a Welsh side that will be led by Captain Dan Biggar, winning his 96th international cap. A Welsh side that is shorn of so much talent. Alan Wynne-Jones, Ken Owens, Justin Tipuric, Josh Navidi, Taulupe Faletau, George North, Lee Halfpenny. They may not have all got in this 23, but they all would most definitely have been in consideration. They are not available to coach Wayne Pivac. Having said all that, the 23 that are here for Wales are reasonably experienced. What Ireland have as they come to the pitch is a very settled side. A side that boasts arguably the best front row in world rugby right now, and a half-back pairing that are utterly comfortable for club and country. There is, though, a little bit of inexperience in this Irish side today. The debut of the winger Mack Hansen, the 23-year-old, born in Australia, but qualifies for Ireland through his mother, Diana. And there he is. What an enormous day for him. It's been a roller coaster of an introduction to rugby in Ireland, having signed for Connacht from the Brumbies. And now he makes his international debut. Johnny Sexton, a little bit of salt at the front of the hair now for the vastly experienced Sexton, 36 years of age. Before we start though, racism not acceptable in rugby, in sport or the world we live in. The Guinness Six Nations and all the unions involved very much make that point at this wonderful championship.
We will continue to take a stand against racism at all venues and on TV. The message is that racism is not acceptable in rugby, in sport, or the world we live in. Thank you for your support to make sure that rugby really is for everybody.
51,500 people, it's slowly filling at the Aviva Stadium.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
before we go any further, there will be a presidential salute as the President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins, is present. huge supporter of Irish sport and sport in general. President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins.
Ladies and
Now,
gentlemen,
before we start,
this week
there will be
we lost
a
a
moment's silence as a legend of Irish rugby, Tom Kiernan, 83 years old, 54 caps for Ireland between 1960 and 1973, captain of Ireland 24 times, captain of the Lions, the coach of Munster when they beat New Zealand famously back in 1978, president of the IRFU, World Rugby Hall of Famer, rugby royalty, a life well lived. May he rest in peace. Recognition of the passing of one of Ireland's greats.
Thank you very much.
So then,
And now please stand
the last piece
for the
of
anthems.
pageantry before we get underway. It's time for the anthems. Terrific. Great to see travelling fans back in the stadium. to say that 2 years on and off of lockdown has been released as Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher and Tadhg Furlong make up a dynamic front row for Ireland. Tadhg Byrne, James Ryan in the second row. Caelan Doris has been outstanding since his introduction to international rugby, alongside the Lions number 8 Jack Conan and Josh van der Flier. Gibson, Park and Sexton, the halfbacks, have been controlling in all they've done. Aki and Ringrose in the midfield. Keenan and Conway alongside Mac Hansen, the debutant today. Enormous day for him and his family. As for Wales, well, shorn of so much experience. Wyn Jones, though, and Tom Francis, either side of Ryan Elias, strong front row. Rowlands alongside Beard, and Jenkins and Wainwright alongside Basham in the number 7 shirt. A Six Nations debut for him. He's been outstanding. Thomas Williams and Dan Biggar, the halfbacks. Tompkins and Adams. So much will be asked of that centre pairship today. Rhys Sammet and McNichol, either side of the Rolls-Royce of attacking machines that is Liam Williams. There are the benches. We will see most, if not all, you feel. It's a 23-man game these days, no question about that. So we're just about set to go. That's Andrew Conway, one of Ireland's wingers. Over on the other side, Mac Hansen, and there's Josh Adams. Well, so much for Josh Adams. His first international start in the number 13 jersey. 35 international caps on the wing. The question for him will be defensively, surely. Mac Hansen, as I said, Ireland's debutant today. And there is the man who will lead the officiating party, Jaco Peyper of South Africa. One of 2 Six Nations games, he will take the lead. So then, 15 games, full stadia, hopes, dreams, ambitions for fans and players alike. The festival that is the Guinness Six Nations is up and running for 2022. And it's Wales who get us underway. Alongside me is Philippa Tuddiett, the former Wales international at both 15 and 7s. We will hear from her in just a moment. In fact, we'll get her in right now. Philippa, your thoughts on this one?
Oh, what an exciting game to kick things off. You talk about Wales coming into this as the champions, the reigning Six Nations champions, but they are up against an incredibly in-form, settled Ireland team. And as you've mentioned, Wales do have their injury woes. I could probably name you arguably 11 players who are currently injured that could be starting here today. But hey, 18 months out from the World Cup, it's all about strength and depth in the squad. And I think that will be the ambition of Wales in this campaign, strength and depth.
So the scrum, the first one of the championship, has been a change in the ruling on that, and you'll see it a little bit later on as the hookers are putting a foot out to take a little bit of pressure off their necks. It's an advancement of the laws to try and protect the necks of hookers with all that weight coming behind them. Bundee Aki, speaking of weight, carries the ball into the Welsh defence. Johnny Sexton, and Mac Hansen gets his hand on the ball, and Hansen's introduction to international rugby is a beauty. He goes after it. Which way will it bounce? Back over everyone. But what a way to introduce yourself to the game, to the Six Nations.
Absolutely, the one thing you want is to get your hands on the ball and have a bit of a stretch. It was a lucky rebound, really. Yeah. You could just see Johnny Sexton trying to feed it through. It got blocked, but look at this confidence. At full pace, already looking to get that chip and chase in. Bit of a panic scramble there by Wales, but they got the ball out in the end. Kelleher
and Ireland go to the maul, and as I say that, Van der Flier peels away, and Caelan Doris takes the ball up, and Ireland are well inside the Welsh 22. Ringrose steps back inside, but he's wrapped up. Tompkins, I think, is the one to make the tackle. Tadhg Furlong is chopped down. Still though there for Ireland. Jonathan Sexton on the wraparound. Here's Mac Hansen, pass outside. Bundee Aki! 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Ireland have the first try of the Guinness Six Nations 2022. Mac Hansen involved. And ominous signs for Wales as Ireland were in complete control.
You can absolutely see that coming with the dominant carries that Ireland were making then. They were completely sucking in and shortening the defensive line, which basically means space out wide. So obviously it's going to start from there. ever so reliable set-piece platform of a line-out, but look at that carry, sucking in 3 Welsh bodies on the ground here. Arguably, Mack Hansen could have been in for an earlier try. They had space on the right wing, but still they recycled. And there's just the awareness there to put that floating pass in over the top. That's a warning sign for Wales. They know the physicality that the island possess, but they cannot afford to be losing that many players to a contact situation.
7th international try for Bundee Aki. 31-year-old now, 34 international caps, born in New Zealand, of course. Plays for Connacht. And he has the opening try at the championship, and Jonathan Sexton will line up the conversion attempt. His 102nd international cap, worth noting. 946 international points, second on Ireland's all-time points list. See the flags, top of your picture there, blowing across the ground as Sexton lines this one up and judges it beautifully. Up go the flags. Ireland have the full 7, 4.5 minutes gone, and they lead it by 7 points to 0.
Yeah, crispy skills there, isn't it? And how good is it to see Mack Hansen get his hands on the ball early, make that pass?
I was going to say, I mean, talk about the dream start to an international career, and in the opening 3 minutes you get a clear run and you get involved in the first try. Ringrose lifted by his own player and, well, wasn't dropped, but definitely would have felt it as he came back down. Gibson Park goes to the air. Really important for Wales to settle into this game now, get their hands on the ball and get through a few phases, because it's been a jittery enough start. Second row to take it on is Will Rowlands, the Dragons' second row. Of course, no Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yep.
Philip is saying you could name 11. Well, let's name some of them. Alan Wynne-Jones, one of them. Tipperick, Navidi, Lee Halfpenny, George North, Ken Owens, all missing from what is a shorn of that level of experience squad for Wayne Pivac. Gibson Park. Ireland have men out wide already. Keenan and Conway. Cross comes Williams to make the tackle. Conway gets rid of the ball.
Hold you out.
Probing kick down the middle of the field. That's a really good one, and needed to be, from Dan Biggar. Hugo Keenan gets the kick away, but all the experience shown there by Wales to play that kick exactly where it needed to be and just take the sting, turn Ireland around and get them going back towards their own line.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course it's going to come from the new captain for Wales, Dan Biggar. It's a beautiful kick, had a low trajectory, and it caused the 2 defending players for Ireland to turn and chase back, basically putting them under pressure to get that kick away.
Ball is spilt and back on the Irish side, and Gibson Park has a little look up, and it's just as well that kick didn't get away. Thomas Williams got his hands up and needed to, because had it gone over him, it was into open country.
Frustration there for Wales. Line out is something that every Welsh fan is going to be looking at. An area last Six Nations that was so consistent for us. But then, as you mentioned, those big names are missing, the likes of Ken Owens, who's the main hooker, the main jumpers, Justin Tipperick, all missing. So a lot of pressure, a lot of people are looking at Ryan Elias now. He's got to hit those darts.
Absolutely. You talk of the basics last year. Wales were best in class. 96% scrum success, 91% line-out success. The only nation to have statistics in the 90s in both areas, but without Ken Owens, without Alan Wynne-Jones, without that sense of knowing where and when. Well, it's a big ask today. Gibson Park. Hansen offers himself. Conan will pick and give it to Hansen, and Rhys Zammit comes up to make the tackle, carrying really heavy strapping around his right ankle. We saw him in the warm-up having his boot strapped on and the strapping over his sock rather than underneath. Gibson Park, Sexton to the air. Liam Williams is back there. This is a really good kick just outside the 22, but there is what Williams is so wonderful at. Just little shake of the hips and evades the first tackler. Back to the safety of the pack. Taken on by Wainwright, Aaron Wainwright.
He's on it.
Winning his 35th international cap. Ireland though over the ball and get the turnover, and all the plaudits going to Andrew Porter, the now loose head prop for Ireland, having made the switch after what 35 odd international caps on the other side of the scrum. In he went, ball was there. Once he was on it, he was never been taken away.
Hey, it's good reactions there by Andrew Porter, but you've got to question there the Welsh defence. There were 3 bodies in and around that ball, just not being effective at getting over the ball. They got over the player, but they have to get over the ball to protect it.
A little bit of concern for one of the Welsh players there under the post as Jonathan Sexton sets this one up. This will bring him over the 500-point barrier in the Six Nations. World Player of the Year, remember back in 2018. Determined, it seems, to play all the way to the next World Cup. And on his current form, it's hard to argue against him. That one looks like it's going to squeak out to the right. It has. Miss for Jonathan Sexton. Wales let off the hook because had that one gone over, well, Ireland were points ahead on the clock. 9 heading to 10 minutes. Ireland lead it by 7 points to 0. Dan Biggar then. So experienced himself. Talk about Sexton. Biggar up to 96 international caps now. Going to need every bit of that as Jack Conan runs into Wyn Jones, the Lions buddies, of course. Porter in midfield, lovely hands. Bundyaki but tried to get it away. Wales had read it out wide and will go back for the knock forward from a Welsh hand on Tadhg Beirne. There's Tadhg Beirne. Taine Basham, he's been impressive, hasn't he?
Really impressive, really stood out in the Autumn Nations for Wales. You can just see there, going for the tackle, arm out, gets in the way.
Yeah, Basham, Six Nations debut today, 8th international, as you say, was standout for Wales in the autumn series, in the November series, despite the fact that Wales lost 2 of their 4 and that, losing to New Zealand and South Africa, beating Fiji and Australia. But Basham, very much their player of the series. Keep an eye on the hookers in this scrum. Ryan Elias for Wales, Ronan Kelleher for Ireland.
You control and you stay there. Okay. Break foot. Crouch.
Foot stays out.
Bind.
Even through the bind.
Set.
And now back it comes. Before it came back before the engagement. Gibson Park, Bundyaki, Gary Ringrose. Ireland looking to change the point of attack, and Ringrose sees a little gap and he's almost away. Basham did really well to make the tackle. James Ryan. Second row sets it up for Sexton right on that gain line. Van der Fleer squirts through for a couple more yards than he might have expected. Caelan Doris, Johnny Sexton, Hugo Keane and Ireland moving the ball around. They have Wales turned, but Wales get players back and will go back for a penalty. Wales offside.
Wales offside, and Wales being let off the hook a little bit there. Ireland are building so much momentum so quickly with these carries. Lovely little bit of switch of play there. It's kind of inevitable. They're always going to go down the side of Josh Adams as he is in that new position on the wing. Oh, Tame Basham just gets a clip on the ankle there.
Yeah, that's it.
You can just see, I mean, we have the benefit of the wider sort of aerial shot here, but you can see how easily Ireland are managing to shorten the Welsh defensive line with these dominant collisions and quick rucks.
Gary Ringrose and Bundee Aki, they'll know better than anyone just how difficult the task that has been set for Josh Adams to play at international rugby for the first time at 13. Yes, he's done it at club level. This is a whole different requirement, and that defensive duty is the bit after the phases break down. Do you know where to be, and can you get yourself in the right places? And no doubt Ringrose and Aki will have had long conversations about how best to exploit any potential weakness there for Wales. Players on both sides receiving attention right now as Jonathan Sexton sets up his second penalty attempt of the afternoon. Missed the first one, this again to go over 500 points in the Six Nations. He's poked that one to the right and wide as well, and he will be absolutely furious with himself because both of those were kickable. And on any other day, they go over, but it's allowed Wales off the hook.
You know what? Yes, they were both kickable, but I'm not quite sure why they're choosing to take them. They're getting Wales on the back foot so quickly, pin them to the corners, keep building that momentum, go for your dominant line out, and go for the kill and go for those tries. Really, taking those two penalties, in my opinion, has just taken the momentum out of their attack, and it's giving Wales a chance to reset, regather, and get themselves out.
Ellis Jenkins is being restored to something like full fitness. Wales get underway again. 15 minutes almost on the clock. Ireland lead it by 7. Left a couple of penalties behind, but look comfortable with ball in hand. Here's Mac Hansen again. Comes back inside. Rhys Zammit and Tompkins put him to ground. Gibson Park. Caelan Doris is the one who carries. There for Gibson Park again. Hugo Keenan.
Release!
Hansen in to do a little bit of the dirty work. Conan. Wales continue to make the tackles. Sexton, Bundee Aki. Williams, Thomas Williams, that is the scrum half, the man to put him down. Sexton again. Ringrose is really enjoying looking for holes and has had a bit of success finding one or two so far. Ryan, Sexton, and out wide to Hugo Keenan. Up to the Welsh 22. 8 phases. Van der Fleer spills it forward, and Wales will turn it over and maybe try and turn defence into attack. They have advantage and just can't get it out wide when they look to do so. Van der Fleer, a rare mistake for a man who's improved so many facets of his game, went away and was told he'd got to improve his ball carrying, and boy has he done that. Ringrose so far, the one who's had the look of finding a little weakness in that Welsh defensive line.
Hook is in.
Yeah, again, just going on that outside edge. They're seeming to find plenty of space there. Good tackle followed up by Thomas Francis, just seen in the picture. And then here's just that knock on. Check out the body position of Ellis Jenkins leading into that tackle. When players say they don't have the opportunity to duck, to match the height of someone that's coming into them and they get done for a high tackle, well, watch Ellis Jenkins, because he had no time at all and he got himself into a fantastic low position.
Crouch.
Another good angle, shows you that hookers being able to just support themselves into that contact, and now the feet go back and everybody can get on with it. Williams
Taken back
to Rhys Zammit.
And passed.
Hugo Keenan had to watch that one. It moved a little in the air. Wind is obviously quite significant when it gets to that height, and after it goes Andrew Conway, who called and catches. Gibson Park can't get his hands on it. Wales slow it down. Gibson Park sees a whole load of green grass back there, and the bounce of the ball almost embarrassed Rhys Zammit, but he reacted well. Did he bring it back over his own line? We'll see. Gibson Park, you can see no one at home there for Wales.
Yeah, great awareness, lovely box kick. I dare say he would have liked that to have been a bit higher, but I think it's just gone over, hasn't it, yet? So Louis Rees-Zammit just dotting it down.
So, goal line dropout for Wales, and Biggar sends it downfield again. Huge amount of this game being played inside the Welsh half, inside the Welsh 10-metre line indeed, and Ireland are there again. Here's Andrew Porter, puts the head down, looks to burrow for a yard or two. It was Ryan Elias who made the first tackle. Tyke Furlong, lovely hands. Jonathan Sexton out wide. Conway steps back inside, needed to do it, keeps going, 5 metres short of the Welsh line. Gibson Park, did he knock it forward? James Ryan gets his hands on it. Ronan Kelleher. Wales commit 3 to the tackle, which means there's likely to be space out wide. Ty Byrne goes to ground. Ireland dragging Wales one way and then the other. Caelan Doris again. Gibson Park will dig it out. Wales back in that defensive line. Up quickly, shoots Biggar to put Jack Conan to ground. Sexton, Bundyaki scored the first try. Ireland have advantage. Wales offside. Gibson Park dinking behind. Rees-Zammit alive to the danger, but will come back for the penalty as Ireland up the tempo.
Which number?
And up the creativity as well in attack. And Jaco Peyper
went, stopped and went again.
Making it clear to Wales why.
We'll find out now.
It'll be interesting to see what Ireland do here. We've gone for the 3.
Decision, please.
Twice. Now you're in front of the post.
Shot.
You take the 3. But to your point, I understand what you're saying. It does feel like
offside.
The momentum is going out of the Irish attack, and they do have Wales on the rack.
They absolutely have them on the run every time, hence why Wales are giving away these penalties. Just look at the opportunities there. Not only is the Welsh defence staggered, it's also being shortened. Yep. So initially it's staggered, Johnny Sexton takes that hole that's created, but there's plenty of space out wide.
Good question.
And that's just the nervousness of the defensive line, coming offside like that. They're so keen to just get up off the line and make the tackle.
Rees-Zammit, hard to believe he's still just 21 years of age, burst onto the scene. 13th international cap, 6 tries. Jonathan Sexton, well, his 3rd attempt in just short of the opening quarter, missed 2. This will surely get him over 500 points in the Six Nations and get Ireland to 10. Slight irony in the cheers from the crowd. Ireland lead it by 10 points to 0. Wry smile from Jonathan Sexton.
You know what, in that decision to take that kick, there is going to be a little bit of thought from Jonathan Sexton, thinking, I've missed 2, I need to get one over to get my confidence back up into the game. But considering how dominant Ireland have been, I think to only see 10 points on the ball is a bit of a let-off for Wales.
Ireland knocked that one back. Wales perfectly entitled to compete for it and do so. And then Tom Francis takes the ball into contact. Wales, it's probably just the 2nd time in the game they've been inside the Irish half. Ball is popped up, Basham gets his hands on it, then Biggar, and through the hands of McNicholl, but back goes McNicholl again to get Wales around the outside. Ellis Jenkins sets it up. Ireland's line speed very quick, as you'd expect, and Wales chopped down before they even get to that gain line. Biggar tries to mix it up a little bit and keep that Irish defender guessing. That first one up to make the tackle. Ronan Kelleher is the one on that occasion. Thomas Williams, Dan Biggers is better from Wales. And a probing kick in behind, and into the 22 it goes, and Wales starting to build a little. It's their first real opportunity, and it's taken them 22 minutes to get there.
Yeah, starting to build, and like you say, the first opportunity now for Wales to actually be within the 22. It is an Irish line out, so they're going to have to put loads of pressure on this, try and force a kick, try and get that possession back in the Ireland half. I dare say Ireland are going to back their contact skills, and they'll use some carries to get themselves out.
Kelleher doesn't find his man, and it's back for Thomas Williams. And now Wales have an attacking opportunity deep inside Irish territory. Josh Adams up to the 22.
Dynamic.
Tompkins will play scrum half, bigger, and then Elias used the 22 as the barometer as to how the carries are going for Wales. They started on that 22, they're 3 or 4 meters behind it. Basham goes about righting that wrong and bursts into the Irish 22. Ireland put their hands on it. Referee keeps his hands down. Elias held up by Ty Byrne and Jonathan Sexton. They have created the choke tackle, which creates the maul, and it's right out of the old trick book for Ireland. Wayne Pivac will know it. It's their go-to so often, and it's proved successful again. Ball turned over, it'll be an Irish scrum.
That was really clever play. Coming off here from a misfiring line-out, they certainly did make the most of it. Wales trying to go through a bit of a scramble style of attack.
Hook is in.
But I just think it's really clever defence there from Ireland. Jack Conan getting into a position where he thought he could get the ball, trying to jackal. Referee said no on a few occasions to the forward. So instead, they go for another tactic of theirs to get the ball back. They go for that strong maul.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Keep it up, Green. Elbow up.
Good solid scrum.
And use it.
For Ireland, as I say that, Wales get a little bit of a shove on. Nothing to disrupt. Bundy Aki carries outside the Irish 22, and Gibson Park gets it off to Ty Byrne, who's had an absolutely cracking season so far. A real form player for Munster and Ireland this season. Gibson Park hasn't quite got the distance on that one that he would have wanted. Zammit and McHanson competed. Aaron Wainwright, who looked like he could get a hold of it, but slippy conditions underfoot. There has been some rain and just couldn't get a hold of it. Knocks it forward. Ireland get the scrum.
Elbow up, please. Yeah.
It's been a kind of a stop-starty sort of game. And yes, Ireland have had their moments. They've absolutely had the possession, and they'll surely have had significant territory as well, but it hasn't quite been a game that's sprung to life.
And that is why I question why Ireland went for those early penalties, because they had plenty of opportunity to really capitalise on that momentum, keep marching Wales back. But actually going for those shots took a bit of a sting out of their tail.
Away from the arm.
Voice of Philip Atutiat, if you're joining us late, the former Welsh 15s and 7s player. Live at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. No doubt it's, well, what time? About 1:45 in the morning in Canberra right now, where the family of Mac Hansen, his mum Diana from Ireland, his dad Craig, his brother Jake, undoubtedly looking on. Bundy Aki, that's off his foot, it pops up. Wales have possession. Wainwright almost away, but he's chopped down there for Jenkins to play scrum half, and away goes McNicholl, and McNicholl bursts into the 22, and that's better from Wales. Putting a couple of phases together as Adam Beard is put to ground. Ireland being asked to defend. Williams, Tompkins. Ireland go after that choke tackle again, but this time the Welshman gets to ground. Tane Basham. Porter went after the ball. It's protected. Bigger. And Liam Williams, quick ball for Wales, but they get themselves in a bit of a muddle at the back of the breakdown, knock it forward, advantage to Ireland, and Bundy Aki and Tadhg Furlong between them get a hold of it.
Good nine, knocked it on into your own player.
But Wales, it was promising, but they just couldn't execute.
Yeah, they're really struggling at the ruck area at the moment. Ireland is certainly getting the better of them. A bit of a mistake there, just going to Bundy Aki's feet. You question maybe he should have just dived on that. But again, Wales will just live off the scraps of this game. And sometimes that's when you see the best of Wales. They react, they're reactive players. But they're really struggling at the ruck area. Ireland are challenging everything. And then we just see Tadhg Furlong getting himself into a fantastic position to just disrupt that ruck.
You talk about Wales living off scraps. I think it's easy to forget for most people. Wales came into the Six Nations last year, and everybody expected them to disappear out the back gate and be fighting for maybe second or third last, ended up as Six Nations champions, and again, feels like everybody's writing them off, everybody talking about France, about Ireland, about England, even a resurgent Scotland. And yet here we are, 27 minutes in, it's only 10 points, and you feel like they're warming to it a little.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will see those earlier warning shots, those earlier missed penalty kicks as opportunities to stay in the game. I think they're going to be realistic about their opportunities, and they would have spoken about that before, the dominance that they probably see Ireland playing with. So any scraps at all, they're going to absolutely make the most of them.
Crouch!
Ireland won 4 of the last 5 against Wales, lost of course last year.
Set!
Gibson Park to the Irish scrum, and straight to Bundee Aki, who pops it off rather than take contact. It's Gary Ringrose who crashes it up. All that does is create a decent angle if Sexton wants to put boot to ball. Andrew Porter blasts for another couple of yards.
He's fine. Away now.
All very considered and quite pedestrian from Ireland. Gibson Park goes to the air. After it goes Conway, who is just outstanding at following ball like that. Knocks it back on the Irish side, but Thomas Williams is well positioned to gather the ball for Wales.
Own player. Yep.
Williams for Bigger, back in the pocket. Now he goes to the air, playing a little bit of kick tennis. Hugo Keenan calls for it and doesn't get a hold of it because Rhys Zammit is there. Knocked forward from the hand of Keenan. Williams tries to weave away for Rhys Zammit to get in behind Ireland, but not to beat. Will go all the way back for the knock forward from the Irish fullback.
Yeah, that initial challenge in the air, really good aerial bomb there from Dan Bigger. Partly looking to go himself, partly looking to bring Louis Rhys Zammit into the air.
I thought your arriving player trapped
Ireland did defend it well. They flooded it with bodies. Louis Rhys Zammit couldn't get into a good position to get up to it. Again, though, I would question Gibson Park's reasoning for putting up that box kick. I think of all the times we've wanted Ireland to play open, keep the ball alive, actually I think this is the game to just kick for territory, play a bit more rigid, because like I say, Wales are going to go for those scraps.
Boyne! Anything else, right?
We're good then.
Okay. Next one, free kick.
Back on paper, 56th international test for the referee.
Crouch!
He's seen it all before. No front row is going to pull the wool too easily over his eyes.
Set!
Thomas Williams will feed the Welsh scrum. Really good platform for them to launch. Rhys Zammit was there but got there too early. Basham or Wainwright, who's put to ground by Sexton, but not before that number 8 makes some ground. Around the corner comes Wyn Jones. Wales through a few phases, but Ireland attack the breakdown, and Jack Conan comes away with a turnover.
Released and gone back onto the ball.
Wales have been given some early warning shots here about how effective Ireland are at the breakdown. Not only are they putting 2 in, but as soon as they get the player to the ground, they're releasing in the perfect position then to go for that jackal. Wales need to just be a little bit more dynamic with the carries, making sure that support player is straight on them, protecting that ball.
Slow down for you.
Where's that? So we get numbers 5. 5.
Conan into the line-out, but it's Byrne who's used, and Ireland go to them all. Tadhg Byrne in the blue scrum cap, Josh van der Fleer in the red scrum cap for Ireland. Ronan Kelleher, the Leinster hooker, has it at the back and breaks away, and it runs into the considerable frame of Wyn Jones. Bundee Aki, Johnny Sexton, Mac Hansen. Now Ireland have a little bit of room outside. Josh Adams did really well to cut off the option of Ireland going further wide.
In the tackle.
Did really well. Did the winger come centre. Wales enjoying their best period of the game in the last 6 or 7 minutes in terms of possession and territory. Can they turn it into a few points before the break? Williams, Wyn Jones. Williams again, bigger, up a little flatter on this occasion. Brings Adam Baird into the game.
Tackle was in there.
Williams again, bigger, narrower the two sides. Ball doesn't go to hand. Did it go forward? No, says the referee. On we go. Josh Adams out on the wing.
Yes,
wearing 13. Bigger. Basham as Porter and then Furlong. Ouch. Arrive. They put him to ground. Bigger. Baird.
On the ball.
And Caelan Doris meets him on the gain line. Gets his knees to ground, so Ireland have to release him. Rhys Zammit. Kelleher makes the tackle. McNichol. And Hansen's on him. And after all that, all those phases side to side, see where Wales still are just inside the Irish half, and Wayne Pivac will be frustrated.
Incredible defensive set there from Ireland.
Prop down.
Completely connected, stayed true, just gradually applying pressure. They weren't shooting up, they weren't blitzing, they weren't flying, they didn't need to. They just stayed connected, came up, and it's the physical dominance in every single collision just buys the rest of the team that split second to get reorganised, reset. You're feeling like Wales were throwing everything at Ireland then, and like you say, made very little gain line at all.
Pause for some attention to Wyn Jones. Man of the match last year, actually, in this fixture. Here you see it, tackles made 63 against 45. Tackles missed, well, neither coach wants to see that number grow significantly. Tackles made is interesting. You would have felt, we don't have the statistics, but just on feeling, a lot of those tackles for Wales were in the first 15-20 minutes. In the last 10 minutes, it's Ireland who's been forced into that defensive effort. He's enjoying himself, isn't he?
I tell you what, though, if Wales go into the changing rooms only 10-0 down after the perceived dominance that Ireland have showed in this game, I think the Welsh camp would be a lot happier than the Irish camp.
Absolutely.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Gibson Park. Front rows go down. Referee says both gone down. On you go. Sexton, Hansen, and Hansen almost away. Interesting to see Bundyaki, the one who's receiving the ball regularly from that scrum as the first receiver. Sexton given the time to get around him to make that extra attacker. Gibson Park, Ringrose, Keenan, Hansen, and Ronan Kelleher out wide, and the hooker has pace and a step as well, but it'll take more than that to put Louis Rhys Zammit off. Furlong gets the ball. Speaking of big men who have a step, Wales looked offside there defensively. Referee keeps his arms by his side. Tyke Byrne carries into contact, and it's back with Sexton once more. Van der Fleer, and Francis needed to and was there to put him down.
Available.
Sexton, Ringrose, not for the first time, steps back inside, but Wainwright is there to make the tackle. Good defensive set so far from Wales. Bigger came up on Sexton though. Lovely pass from Keenan. Mac Hansen from Van der Fleer into the Welsh 22. Ireland go, but there are Welsh bodies there, just can't get themselves on the ball.
Ball's out.
Ireland looking to continue. Sexton pops it up, but the man to get his hands on it is McNichol, and Wales will look to turn defence into attack if they can just get the ball away. Here's Liam Williams, and now Louis Rhys Zammit, and there's some room in front of him. Mac Hansen can do nothing, the ball goes over his head. Hugo Keenan's done really well to get himself back there because he was in full attack mode, but made the ground to get back when Wales turned the ball over. But a good defensive set from Wales, and as half-time approaches, beautiful pass from Keenan. They will be really pleased to hold Ireland out.
Absolutely, they will be, and like you say, that incredible one-handed offloading pass. Bit of a gamble here by Johnny McNichol, but he gets himself in the passing channel. Nick Tompkins there is looking at Josh Adams. Shall I feed the speed? But he could see the defensive pressure was on him, so he went back against the grain.
like the ball was
Fedley
out,
and
so I
Williams,
didn't
a
play through.
beautifully floated pass out to Louis Rees-Zammit, but I do question Louis Rees-Zammit's fitness. We saw his ankle was getting strapped prior to the game. He put a lovely kick through then. He didn't even get past three-quarter pace. I know we were saying that Hugo Keenan did well, but he certainly didn't have the full force of Louis Rees-Zammit running at him then.
The rain has started to fall significantly. There is the right ankle of Rees-Zammit, and it's significant that the strapping is on the outside, right?
Yeah, it is. As a player, you know, if you get the boot strapped to your ankle, the physio's got a bit of concern there.
How are we going?
So, yeah, it is a concern, and also for him specifically as a sprinter. I can tell you, in every speed session that I had to do, it was all about ankle flexion. So it's all about your ability to transfer the power from the ground as you push off through the rest of your body. You don't want your ankle sinking into the ground. It's all about spring-loaded ankle pressure, and when you have it strapping as heavy as that, it is going to affect his running gait.
Bit of a gap. Just a bit more, thanks, that's middle.
They've put in a shift defensively of those Welsh players. They've had to deal with Ireland moving the ball around quite fluidly, and they figured a way, with a little bit of help from the miscued kicks of Jonathan Sexton, to keep themselves in a game that they probably knew Ireland were going to come out of the gates and full of confidence, flash it around a little, and may well be that the message was hang in there and let's see. And they've done just that so far. Sexton, from an Irish perspective, is able to continue for the moment at least, and will resume with a line-out. Ryan Elias, 24th international cap. Scarlett's hooker, gotta find his man. Doesn't, and Andrew Porter gobbles up possession for Ireland. Kelleher, Furlong gets in to secure possession, and Gibson Park has a little look to see what's on offer.
Hang on. That ball moved out, so we take the knock-on in the line-out.
Well, we're not going to have the debate about the ball at the back of the breakdown, because it is going to be something that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. We're going back for the original infringement, which was a knock forward at the line out from the hand, I think, of Aaron Rain, right?
That brings you into it.
That's frustrating there.
That's right.
Sorry, as we know, it's not always down to the hooker, Ryan Elias. It's obviously down to the jumpers. You know, we're talking inches of difference in a lift can mean that a throw can get just skewed ever so slightly like that.
There are new laws governing the back of the breakdown when the ball comes out, and when the scrum half starts to move it back with his or her foot at the back of a breakdown. And to say that it feels like it's muddied the waters is an understatement. It looked like we were going to have to go there. We don't. Gibson Park and Ireland get a penalty from that scrum.
Going forward and turn.
Clear reasoning from the referee.
Forward and drop.
Crowd are sensing something needs to happen here for the home side. You don't get to beat New Zealand and Argentina comfortably in the November International and then have decent club form come into the Six Nations without a level of expectation that comes with that success. And I think the crowd, particularly with that early Bundee Aki try, felt that this could be something a little bit special, but it's gone quiet since then. Sexton goes about changing the tone in the stadium. Gibson Park. Carry from Doris, and Gibson Park now side. Aki continues. Down to make the tackle goes Jenkins. Van der Fleer calls for it, receives it, but runs into 1-2 red jerseys, trying to keep going forward.
And release!
Gibson Park again. Inside the final 2 minutes we go at the Aviva Stadium in this first half. Gary Ringrose ducks under the big arms of Adam Beard, but gets the ball back on the Irish side, and Furlong tries to start the momentum all on his own. Kelleher, Gibson Park, Ireland's handling is good, but Wales's tackling and scramble defence is equal to everything they're doing. Barely forward a yard in the last number of phases. Gibson Park again. Doris.
No more!
Knocked backwards once more. James Ryan manages to get around the first tackle of Basham. Gibson Park. Furlong again. Ball presented beautifully for Gibson Park and Sexton. And Bundyaki, as Hansen called for it. Ringrose went short. Caelan Doris.
Not on it.
Gibson Park again. Out wide now to Matt Hansen, but that wasn't a pass that you come to expect from the Leinster and Ireland scrum half. It gave Hansen no opportunity, and after a lot of ball in play, we're into the final minute, and psychologically that is a big win for Wales.
Absolutely it is, and it's all down to the Welsh defensive strategy. They've slightly changed their tactics. Look at the chop tackles that Wales have been putting in. I mean, incredible tackle here. Attack here from Ty Furlong. I mean, God, he's just so strong, isn't he? But it was the chop tackles by the Welsh defence. Rather than trying to soak up, wrap up, they were just going straight for the low drive, get the player down. It frustrated Ireland, and I think that's why we saw that pass into the crowd.
Wainwright, Jenkins and Wales head towards the half-time break. Quite happy, you think, to go through another passage of play, if even that, and head to the dressing room.
No, that's good enough. Yes. Lost it.
Thomas Williams confirms that the clock has gone red, that this will be the last passage of play, flings it to Biggar, who eventually sends it into the crowd, and that will be that at the Aviva Stadium. A game that burst into life in the opening moments and then sort of petered out for the rest of the game. Ireland dominated for large parts, but Wales have hung in there and done well as the game went on. A try for Bundyaki, converted by Sexton, who added a penalty at half-time. It's Ireland by 10 points to 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the second half, Wales!
Welcome back to the Aviva Stadium, where Wales have made their way out in Ireland. We await in the officiating party as well. Philip Atutia is alongside me. I think if you were Wayne Pivac, you would be reasonably pleased. You soaked up a lot of Irish pressure. You dealt with it. You scrambled. You did what you had to do. You trailed by 10 away to one of the tournament favourites on day one. You'd be okay with that, wouldn't you?
I think the management will be relatively happy. There's still definitely room for some improvement there. I think they would have talked about their defensive line, which at times, yes, worked well in a scrambled situation, but off set piece, Ireland were getting round that corner outside 13 into the 15 channel far too easy. So that needs to be a call from the inside to push out with a bit more urgency, or they need to get up into the Ireland's attacking line earlier.
And conversely, as Ireland make their way out, if you're Andy Farrell, you're thinking, well, we had momentum, we got around them a number of times, we just didn't find that killer pass that last moment, and he'll feel Ireland should have done better, I think.
Oh, absolutely, especially in the early 20 minutes when they had so much dominance in the collision, in the possession, in the territory. To only be finishing the half 10 points up is a bit criminal.
Gus, just check on time there. Right.
So then, set to go at the start of the second half at the Aviva Stadium. The rain continues to come down in fits and starts. It's not ideal. The crowd wander back from the bars and take their seats. And we'll be looking for more from the home side in this second half. That said, weekend one, game one, 10-point lead at half-time. More often than not, you'll take that. Wales know they need to be the ones to score next. Or Ireland to get another try, a converted try, and move that out to a 17-point lead. Well, could be an impossible task. Here's Hugo Keenan, who gathers the ball inside the Irish half, finds his way into the Welsh half and sets it up. Conan, Sexton, a mixed game, decent with ball in hand, not good from the tee. Advantage being played to Ireland. Tyburn isolated a little bit, but Ireland playing with advantage. Sexton once more. Conway, as the Welsh defence continues to do what it did in that first half, scramble well, put Ireland to ground behind the gain line. Advantage still being played though to Ireland. They can take a free hit at this. Sexton looking to add a bit of urgency, nothing comes off, back will come.
Long bit of advantage there played for Ireland. They were really able to test both sides of the Welsh defensive pattern. Again, yes, it's a good scramble tee, but my argument would be it's going into a scramble formation too early. 2 to 3 phases shouldn't be confusing the team that much to send them into a scramble sort of situation. They need to be a bit more connected for longer.
Well, we wondered about this man at the beginning of the game, Josh Adams, how he would deal with his first international start in the 13 jersey, and you have to say after 40 minutes he did an awful lot more right than he did wrong.
Absolutely, and my days weren't Ireland coming down his channel, so he's absolutely weathered that storm. He makes up for it a lot with his speed, his agility. He can often buy himself that split second, which is so vital in that 13 channel.
6.
So then 2 minutes into this second half, Ireland have the platform of the line out on the Welsh 22, and it's taken by James Ryan and Josh van der Fleer, and now Ronan Kelleher has the ball. There's the effort from Ryan, who's dragging his team forward every inch of that maul. Gibson Park has a little look down the narrow side, nods at Mac Hansen to maybe make a run, but the referee says maul pulled down, penalty Ireland.
And just at a shot there, you could see Johnny Sexton was just giving the complete movement. It was like he was directing an airplane. He was just ushering them on. I do not want that ball. Keep going, keep going. He knew exactly the pressure that the Irish pack were putting on Wales.
Don't take a leg.
You can see the wind on the touch judge's flag over on the far side has really got up in the last 5 minutes. As Ronan Kelleher will throw to this line out. Looks to be at the backs of Ireland completely now. Kelleher, Irish line out, 6 metres short. Tyburn, Josh van der Fleer, Kelleher in to receive around the narrow side. Wales holding on, but holding on illegally and dragging that ball down. Second time they've been penalised. Advantage to Ireland. Aki, and then Sexton and Ringrose. Then up to the 5 metre line. Quick ball for Gibson Park. Out wide it goes. Andrew Conway puts his foot on the gas and is in. Conway for the corner. The TMO will decide. But I have to say, on first viewing, he stretched and he got there.
On field, we're not sure, mate.
Not sure?
Yeah, not sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Ireland playing advantage.
So it's not a try.
Look to have taken advantage. Wales pulling them all down on the far side.
Yes.
The TMO.
Yes, Shako.
We haven't got a clear grounding, and we're not sure anything's in touch. So
Okay.
on field, there's no try, unless you can provide us clear feedback.
Okay, mate.
Important that you clarify what Jakob Piper is saying. He's saying it's not a try as far as he's concerned. there's got to be evidence to say he's wrong. Andrew Conway will provide that evidence. Short.
Oh, that just looks short to me. He's not in touch, but I think the issue would be the grounding.
Now this will be the one.
You say it'll be the one. Who'd be a referee? Let's hear him.
Yes, Stu.
Jacko?
Yes, Stu.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the player legally moves the ball forward to the line and scores a try.
All in one motion.
All in one motion.
All in one motion. Conway gets the try. Ireland get their second. The question really there was, would it be ruled as all in one motion or a forward momentum that would have been enough forward to get it to the line?
Yeah, absolute little subtleties of the law there, but he was in control, it was in one motion, so it is a try. But again though, I would feel as an Irish fan, with that much dominance, you're marching Wales back. Did it really need to be such a panicked throw out the back door? But still, they've got that try. Potentially this could calm Ireland down now. Help them to be a bit more clinical in exposing the gaps they are creating out wide. But hey, solo effort to Andrew Conway, fantastic skills.
14th international try for Andrew Conway, Munster man, plays schoolboy rugby in Blackrock College, as so many through Ireland have over the years. Jonathan Sexton to line up the additional two. Rhys Sammet almost got there, and Sexton, well, it hasn't been as fine as from the boot. Some have gone askew that one. Found his way home.
And this is part of the build-up here. Johnny Sexton just making that little dart, catching Wales off guard on the inside. And there we see that long pass. Scramble D, you can't really ask any more from Wales. There's 3 players making the tackle and players inside.
17 points apiece. It is a long, long way back for Wales. Here's the try once more.
There you go.
But look at that scramble, look at the flood of red coming across there. The question would be, if that many players can come across like that, potentially their positioning could have been better prior to it, as none of them were committed in the earlier phases.
Williams gets it away to Biggar, and Basham juggles with it, but I think he got a hold of it before it hit the ground, so no advantage accruing to Ireland. Nice little cameo in the middle of all that, was it Liam Williams? Here's the try scorer, Andrew Conway, and into the safety of touch. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see that from Liam Williams again.
Really good pressure here from the Irish defensive line. Liam Williams calmly putting it through the legs there.
He is the epitome of a player who looks like they have more time than everybody else on a rugby football pitch. Josh van der Fleer with an absolute smasher of a tackle. Dan Biggar still feeling his ribs. Ireland into that breakdown, but it's there for Thomas Williams, and it'll be carried by Will Rowlands.
Ball's right ball.
Williams again. Porter goes after it, but the ball is presented for Biggar, and he juggles it and just about controls it. Don't think he knocked it forward. Williams around the corner, narrower side, it's shipped on, and here is Liam Williams, but it's shipped on forward.
Thanks.
When Wales have had the ball, there's just not been that fluidity in attack. It feels very rushed by comparison to what you see with Ireland.
Yeah, it feels like they're constantly fighting to get Ireland on the back foot, so they're rushing everything. They're trying to get that dominant position, which is just not happening. So that gives Ireland the best opportunity to be set. When they can slow the Welsh ruck down, they can reset and they can come up with more pressure. So that's what's happening. They're flustering the Welsh attacking line.
A couple of bumps and bruises being seen to on both sides. Visit to the 22, Ireland 6 visits there. just over 3 minutes in the opposition 22 and come away with 2 tries.
Then roll.
Connect. Connect. Low.
Crouch.
Shake. Tight.
Bind. Set.
It's a good scrum from Wales.
Balls out.
Ireland going backwards, and it meant a change of decision from Sexton and Ireland as to what they would do with the ball. There's a big hit on Jonathan Sexton that releases the ball, and Wales have it in a little bit of open country as Josh Adams gets his hands on it and gets up to the 10-metre line. Williams, scrappy ball, but ball nonetheless bigger. Little show, gap opened up, door was closed though. Van der Fleer went to ground. Josh Adams once more. Williams, Basham, lying in wait, were 2 in green to put him down. Ball finds its way to Liam Williams. Matt Hansen watches him. Williams gets the pass away to Bigger, and then Tompkins. A little question of a late hit of James Ryan, or by James Ryan, I should say. Wales having to deal with Irish players shooting up, but if they go over them, there is some room outside. Nice couple of interpasses. McNichol to Williams finishes that little moment. Here's Bigger. Another huge tackle, James Ryan. In this passage of play, there have been 3 bone crunchers. Advantage being played for Wales for a high tackle. After it goes Josh Adams. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Sexton on the receiving end, and I think this one's going to get looked at.
As far as I'm concerned, penalty back there.
Well, there's definitely been contact to the head, so it is going to be looked at.
Both going at the ball. You've got your penalty over there. Yeah.
The very last second. I think he changed it from the ball to the back.
All right. That's fine.
So this is coming from a kick through from Thomas Williams. Wales had penalty advantage.
Just hold.
So
Stu,
the referee is going to make his way over
going
here.
hard at the ball. Yeah. I'll call him both captains.
The referee's going to call the captains, and I think that's going to be an explanation as to why he's not looking at this. They were both going after the ball. It was bobbling.
Steve, just put it up for us. Play at real speed, please. Play at real speed.
Referee wants to have a look at it one more time before he
Please
rules
don't slow
finally.
down. Play at real speed. Advantage to Wales at this point.
It doesn't look good.
He's picking up the play, isn't
You'll
he?
see Josh Adams now just turn his shoulder.
no intention
That
to play
would
the ball.
suggest he is bracing for contact there.
Yeah, on the second angle we saw there.
You see that shoulder?
Yeah,
There's no contact to head there. It's a shoulder. Okay.
Not contact to the head, but
Yes.
it's a shoulder. He has the opportunity to play the ball and to do it refunded.
Yellow.
It's really reckless from my view. Yeah.
Okay.
it's Matthew Reynal over on that far side. You're going to look at it again, and the more they look at it, the more you
Bring us
feel they're
another
looking for
angle,
the
please.
reason
Okay.
to penalise Josh Adams.
This
What
point
looked
fine.
innocuous enough and a
then
fair
he's
contest
looking up, picking up
first
the play.
time round.
Yellow card.
The more you look at it,
Yeah.
One more point of contact for you, Jaco.
Leading shoulder.
For me, there, Johnny
Okay, Stu.
Sexton has his eyes
So
on the
what we're
ball,
seeing there
and
is
that's his
not a head
priority.
contact
Josh
process,
Adams'
but
priority is making the
He
contact.
does not look to gather the ball there. He picks up the play and he drops his shoulder. Yellow card for us.
Okay.
Captain.
Johnny!
13.
Johnny!
absolutely right,
13,
Philip.
please.
It looks like that's the decision.
So what my initial on-field view was that you both went for the ball. We had a look there. You're nowhere near the ball. You drop a shoulder. There's not head contact process, but it's reckless and it's a leading shoulder. Highly dangerous. It was your penalty over there, so turn it around. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh Adams turns around and you can it'll take a genius to lip read. Wow, is his reaction. And, well, you know, we can have this debate over and over and over again. We understand why the laws are there. They're there to protect players. On the evidence of what you can see, Johnny Sexton never varied or moved his body anything other than in competition for the ball. Josh Adams, as you say, there was a change of the body angle, and that is going to make up the referee's mind every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really unfortunate for Wales because they had built up a momentum and they had themselves in a position where you felt like they were really beginning to ask questions of Ireland's defence. And now, well, they find themselves back on the halfway line. Ireland have possession and Wales are down to 14. Kelleher to Ryan and the maul. Van der Fleer, Kelleher, Gibson Park, and lovely hands through that three-quarter line. Mac Hansen for Andrew Conway. Conway uses the feet to get another yard or two. Now Ireland at pace. Tyburn, Van der Fleer, Josh Van der Fleer, almost away. Terrific tackle, and it needed to be from Rhys Zammit, but Ireland on they come relentlessly. Caelan Doris, 3 metres short. There for Gibson Park. Ireland looking for their third try. Furlong, lovely hands. Sexton runs into a wall of red, and Wales breathe for the moment at least. Gibson Park, Van der Fleer started it all with that take and break, and now it's Conan. Wales hanging on, desperately hanging on. Furlong, Tyburn. It's a green wave that just keeps coming at them. Gibson Park. Conway. Third try for Ireland, a second for Andrew Conway, and in the end it was inevitable. All coming from wonderful hands and great pace from Van der Fleer in the middle.
Wonderful hands, lovely little half breaks, but it's the fluidity of the connection between those breaks. At no point was their momentum hindered. They made a break, they made the work, they capitalised on it. Lovely bit of moving play here. Finally getting that ball into that wide channel where they've been creating that space all game.
Thanks, Steve.
Then it's the recycling, the ability to take that short contact, but then still reap the benefits of the momentum that it creates. You feel like the ball is barely on the ground when it's in the Ireland hands, because as soon as it hits the deck, it's up, it's whisked away, and straight out into the space. As easy as that.
Yeah, and that's when you go through 5, 6, 7 phases, that extra player, well, you find the space somewhere because bodies are tired and they've been dragged from one side to the other. Andy Farrell absolutely thrilled with his sides. Third try, Mike Catt in the foreground. Andrew Conway has try number 15 for Ireland, and Jonathan Sexton can extend the lead even further. I have to say, in the middle of all that, the pass from Tyburn to Josh Van der Fleer was flat, clearly, because no one's gone back to have a look at it, but you can understand if you were a Welsh supporter screaming at your television, you're not wrong. Sexton, again, looks like he's going to let it go left, but somehow it obeys his boot and turns in and over the posts. 24 points to nil. Another 6.5 minutes of 15 against 14. And at half-time, if Wales were happy enough, they will not be now.
Just hold.
So front row change in totality for Wales as Dowie Lake comes in to make his international debut. The Ospreys man, under 20 captain, previously 22 years of age. Big day for him. Gareth Thomas, Dylan Lewis in. And Ireland have made changes as well. We'll confirm those in just a moment. The Tyke Furlong has made way. And Caelan Doris has made way as well. So Finlay Bealham is in for Furlong, and that man, Peter O'Mahony, in the back row for Caelan Doris. O'Mahony to win cap number 80. There's the new man for Wales, 22 years of age. Big, big day, making your international debut, and you get your first dart out of the way and do it well. That'll do his confidence no end of good. The young man, difficult situation to come in when your team is down to 14 and down by 24 points on the board.
Advantage.
Just confirming for you that it actually was
Collapse.
Jack Conan who made way and not Caelan Doris in the Irish back row. So O'Mahony in for Jack
We got
Conan.
two players, 18 and 20.
Apologies for confusing you. Where's Finlay Bealham? Connacht prop. Makes his 19th international appearance. In for a furlong. His stock has risen in the last couple of months as well.
Don't pull the lefter.
Wales, a rare opportunity of the platform of a line-out inside the Irish 22. Still well over a quarter of this game left to play. Can Wales find a way into it? Three Irish players say no.
I'm not quite sure why Wales are calling a move like that. That's obviously pre-planned. That's not off-the-cuff play.
Gap, please.
But all you need to do is look up and see a
Gap,
sea
please.
of green in front of you and call cancel. That was a wasted opportunity.
Inside.
Ronan Kelleher now finds Peter O'Mahony, and Caelan Doris is the man who takes it out. Gibson Park will complete the exit. And McNichol, well, he's better off at this point, you feel, going to slightly more conservative play.
Yeah, that's fine. Clear gap, please. Good enough.
If Ireland were guilty of not taking their opportunities, or really not finishing out what they created in the first half, they've set that right at the start of this second half. And Tadhg Beirne is now adding to Wales's woes as he turns the ball over from the throw of the debutant Lake.
So good.
Van der Fleer, you can see his stamp on the game has
Not on the ball.
significantly increased. Gibson Park, the ever-willing Andrew Conway, chases and wins, as so often he does when the ball goes to the air. He's an absolute expert at it. Ireland, though, having profited from his work, are sloppy, turn it over, and it's there for Liam Williams.
On each other.
Van der Fleer and Bundyaki put him to ground and go after the
Can't
ball.
see it.
Thomas Williams, though, has it.
And away.
Gareth Thomas. Lake bounces off Ronan Kelleher, but Kelleher holds on, puts him down. Wales have a man out of the game, effectively playing with 13 right now. Liam Williams is receiving attention. He's back on his feet and back in the line. Tompkins, Liam Williams, well, he literally walked away from the medics, backed into the line, ran forward and knocked it forward. He's not right.
No, he's not right, and with, you know, all the best intentions in the world to get into the line, potentially if you are carrying something in the attack, you want to run off a shoulder rather than putting yourself
How we going?
in the direct passing channel. There was really an opportunity then with Wales having that possession for a 50-22. You can actually see Hugo Keenan trying his best to cover that back field, but he was struggling. He was on his own because the wingers were up very flat. And we have seen Dan Biggar expose that 50-22. So just to recap, you kick the ball from your half and it bounces and goes out in the opposing 22. You get an attacking line out. And seeing as Wales are struggling so much to get any kind of forward momentum with the carries, this could be an option for them.
Joey Lake, former under-20 captain, had an ankle injury last season, kept him out of a lot of rugby.
9 red. Just hold the clock again. I'll ask, how long is the card left?
Wales going to make a change at scrum half. Gareth Davies in. Very experienced, of course, 67 or 66 international caps as it is now.
Time back on.
Thomas Williams makes way.
Keep those right foot.
Ireland go to France next Saturday for their second game in the Guinness Six Nations. Wales to the comfort of home as they go to the Millennium Principality Stadium and take on Scotland. And you feel they're going to be going there on a pretty low ebb on the evidence of what we've seen so far. And as I say, still over a quarter of the match to go.
We talked about those big names missing in that scrum, didn't we, at the start of the game? And I think it's starting to show for Wales. Key positions, front row, second row.
Oh, we've got every inch out of that. Every inch. That was one of those. And if it goes wrong, you're saying, Johnny, what were you thinking? Could you not have just limited your ambition? And he got every last bit out of it, and Ireland will have the throw to the line out on the 5-metre line. One more try will give them a bonus points, and that has got to be the very limit of their ambition, or the very least of their ambition, I should say, right now. To the maul, Ireland go, but they do it illegally, and Wales get the penalty, and that is a significant relief. Crowd think the game is still on. So do some of the players. Didn't hear the referee's whistle. I think that's for getting Caelan Doris in and stopping Wales from being able to get to James Ryan before he was down on the ground. Caelan Doris was in there.
So it's the lifters turning and blocking the defending players from coming through.
Remarkably, just the second penalty that Ireland have given away in this game.
And release, tackle out!
By contrast, Wales have been pinned on 9 occasions.
Roll the ball back, and stripped.
There for Ireland, Gibson Park, Jonathan Sexton, Mac Hansen hungry for it, Bundyaki. Ringrose has Conway outside him, Ringrose will do it all himself. Magic from Gary Ringrose. Bonus point try for Ireland in the first game of the Guinness Six Nations for 2022. And Gary Ringrose puts a cherry on top in this second half.
They have certainly turned into the clinical Ireland that we saw in the Autumn Nations. Lovely little rip there from Andrew Porter on the floor. But it's his composure, and again we've seen Mac Hansen popping up everywhere, constantly making that pass, making that assist. A great awareness there from Gary Ringrose. Liam Williams, 15, had to stay out. He could see Nick Thompson coming across. You've got to trust your inside man is going to make that tackle there. By the time he realises that Nick Thompson has slipped off, it's too late for Liam Williams to be able to change his direction.
It is 11th international try for Gary Ringrose. He's had his injury problems over the last couple of years. Broken jaw, ankle ligaments kept him limited time in the green of Ireland and indeed the blue of Leinster. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that one. Mike Catt, Simon Easterby, Andy Farrell, all the coaching staff delighted. No more player Gary Ringrose is.
Yeah, he's gone now.
Johnny Sexton lines up the conversion attempt. I wouldn't be surprised if Sexton disappears after this conversion and Joey Carberry comes in. We'll see. There has been a change for Ireland at hooker as Ronan Kelleher makes way, and Dan Sheehan, who is his understudy at Leinster, comes in. There's Kelleher, good shift from him. Wales will be back to the full complement of 15 after this one. Sexton That's to the right and wide. And he'll be furious with himself for the kicking from the tee. There's Dan Sheehan. Josh Adams is back for Wales. There he is. And in has come Owen Watkin wearing 23, which means that Johnny McNicholl will make way. 29 points to 0. It's become a significant lead for Ireland. Sexton to Aki, that one could have been picked off, but it wasn't. Mac Hansen, he's had an absolute dream debut. The only thing he hasn't got to show is a try. Sexton, Hume into the game. Caelan Doris is hit and hit hard.
And away! Knock an advantage
Here's
over.
Bigger. Can Wales get something out of this one? Well into the final quarter of the game now. Wales find the way out to Zammit. He's had very little opportunity. Porter puts him to ground. Hume makes the tackle, and along with Sexton. James Hume in to win his second international cap. Basham, that was a terrific line. Looked like he might break free. Finlay Bealham helped to make the tackle. Ireland get the bodies in, and Ireland turn the ball over. Guess who? Peter O'Mahony with a turnover. Not the first time that's been said in his career.
Green 10.
And that's the impact of the bench happening right there. Just carrying on the ever so much presence that Ireland have had in those rough areas. It's initially a really good line by Taine Basham.
Johnny Sexton made the pass. There was the tackle from Josh Adams and Caelan Doris. Sexton, as you watch that, is making way, and Joey Carbery is coming back in. Coming back from an injury, that is. And Carbery to touch. There's Johnny Sexton. He'll be happy enough with what he did with ball in hand, but not at all happy with what he did with ball off tee. Joey Carbery, he's had just such a torrid time with injury. Left elbow wrapped up, that was the latest one, but back and ready to continue his understudy role. Bundee Aki. Hume, what an exciting player here he is. Gary Ringrose alongside him. Ulsterman, James Hume.
Yes.
Second international cap, just 23 years of age. Carbery crossfield. Adams didn't keep it in. Despite his best efforts, just couldn't do it.
Yeah, a really good hustle across there from Josh Adams. Unfortunately, he just slides in, so it's actually Wales taking the ball into touch there as well.
Will I leave it? Will I leave it? No, I'll get it. Oh, wish I'd left it.
5.
It's so hard, especially when a ball is coming over your head like that, to be able to keep sort of peripheral of awareness of where the sidelines are. Really difficult.
Van der Fleer, Gibson Park, Carbery, Aki, Carbery on the loop. Ringrose, little dink in behind. Mac Hansen's coming after this one, but
No hands!
it's dealt with somehow by Liam Williams amongst a sea of green jerseys. Shows all his class once again.
And last feet, back there. Back there. Get off there, 16, get off.
Gareth Davis drags it back with the foot and will launch it towards the touchline. And you feel that Wales would be very pleased right now to hear a final whistle, because it's been one of those days it can't really get anywhere or go anywhere for them from here.
Yeah, just Gaston.
Yeah, I think the only real moments that Wales had was when they were living on those scraps, that loose
5
play,
and
managing
1.
to get the odd turnover. But you
5
just feel as
and 1.
Ireland are continuing now, they're getting more and more momentum. They're actually becoming more clinical throughout the game. It was an incredible defensive effort from Wales. Half-time, Wales made nearly twice as many tackles as Ireland, and you know that's going to tell on your fitness, specifically the last 20 minutes of the game. That's where that fitness is really going to start to be tested.
So then, 2 changes for Ireland in the second row and in the front row, and Andrew Porter leaves the front row, and in comes Cian Healy for cap number 113. Ryan Baird is in for James Ryan. Bundyaki receives the ball from Mac Hansen. Gibson Park will go after it. Wales got themselves on the wrong side, and advantage is being played. Gibson Park, Mac Hansen. Ryan Baird on his shoulder. Baird, the Leinster second row. Finlay Bealham, the Connacht prop. Gibson Park, Carbery. It really is all Ireland now. All Wales can do is continue to make tackle after tackle. Hume, great feat, good effort to put him back from Will Rowlands, but all that being played under advantage. Peter O'Mahony, by the way, has ball in hand. He's captain with Sexton gone.
Very slow. I can pick it up and play, but it's too slow.
134 tackles made. 17 missed. That's a big number.
That's a very big number, and not something you usually associate with a Welsh defence. Last year it was very connected, it was very solid. Not the best in the Six Nations, but it certainly did the job for Wales. You can see those gaps are starting to creep in.
Dan Sheehan finds Ty Byrne at the back of the line out, and Ireland go to the maul. Wales do a good job of stemming the first flow. Here's Gibson Park, or is it? No, it's not. Ball's gone to ground. Wales have got the bodies in there. Have they turned it over? No, they haven't. Referee says he can see it, and it's there for Ireland. Gibson Park not being allowed to get to it. And Ireland get the penalty in from the side against Adam Baird.
And as much as the missed tackle starts won't be pleasing reading for the Welsh management, the penalty count is also starting to creep up now. Their defence, the attacking pressure that Ireland are putting on them. You can see Wales are getting those frustrations, a little bit of fitness creeping in, starting to force things at the ruck, desperate to get that turnover. They need to keep their discipline.
11 penalties against Wales now. Dan Sheehan and the Irish line-outs. Looking for try number 5. O'Mahony goes to the air. Sheehan goes to the ball at the back of the maul, and Bundyaki adds his considerable weight. The body positions are decent. Wales just trying to hold on, but they can't.
It's accidental.
But Ireland have messed it up, and Wales will take something from that. Holding Ireland out. Adam Baird, well, he's so good at coming through those mauls, is swimming through and finding himself over on the opposition side, and he did enough there to put Ireland off as Conor Murray comes off the bench and Gibson Park will make way.
Yeah, Conor Murray, what an experienced player to have coming off the bench. Exactly the type of player for this game. Calm, reliable, he's going to steady the ship, close the game out. But like you say, really good defensive set there from Wales to be able to disrupt that maul.
Keep the break foot on. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Feed from Davis. Ireland try and turn the screw, and Ireland do turn the screw.
Both sides.
Murray will want to take this quickly if he's let.
Both sides collapsing under pressure.
Dan Sheehan is going to tap and go into a wall of red. Ryan Baird there to make sure the ball comes back on the Irish side. Again, Wales do enough to force the error. Apologies if you heard any language there that found offensive.
Oh, both props. Both props.
Wales are just hanging in it, aren't they?
Hook is in.
Yeah, they've done enough in the last 5 or 6 minutes to stop this from getting out of hand. Because had Ireland scored again and gone back to the halfway line, you could see it getting up towards 40 points really easily. And Wales, to their credit, have stuck to the task on their own 5-metre line, and not giving away anything cheaply.
And away.
There's the ball. Gareth Davis could see it. Back with Biggar. And into touch. It's going to be a tricky old week back in base camp as they prepare for Scotland next week, isn't it?
It really is, because as much as you can give them some credit for the first half performance and weathering the storm, you also know that Ireland did not take the opportunities that were available to them. Really feel like the floodgates have been opening up.
Owen Watkin in for, or Callum Sheedy, I should say, in for Dan Biggar. Scrappy ball. Conor Murray got a whole faceful of Alan Baird. Ringrose, lovely hands from Ryan Baird. Carbery. Wales in and over and get the penalty. I think it was late, was it? No. We'll confirm in a second who it was. Referee clear in his decision that it was a Wales penalty. But they butchered the opportunity to get into Irish territory. Didn't find touch with a penalty, then Ireland make the mistake of kicking it dead, and that's just sloppy from everyone.
Yes, in a nutshell, sloppy from everyone, yeah. I think earlier it was Dylan Lewis that was getting pats on the back for that turnover. Not the best start to a captaincy role for Dan Biggar. Hey, Wales always knew it was going to be a battle, but at times they really have looked quite disorganised. As much as we've mentioned that there are some big players missing, simple things like defensive organisation. You don't need superstars in your team to be connected and be organised. And at times, Ireland have got on the outside edge of Wales far too easy.
I'm not sure that many nations could take the level of experience and ability missing from their national side and hope to show up in a meaningful way. It's just worth saying again, Alan Wynne-Jones, Ken Owens, Justin Tipuric, Josh Navidi, Talubi Faletau, George North, Lee Halfpenny, all missing, all unavailable. Josh Adams gets it wide to Rhys Salmon. Hume goes after the ball. Referee says play on. Gareth Davis.
First action.
Sheedy. Looked like there was a knock forward from an Irish hand there.
First action.
We're going to go back for penalty to Wales at the breakdown. Yeah, you know what camp you'd rather be in for the next 7 days. It's of course one of 3 games this weekend in the first round of the Guinness Six Nations Calcutta Cup match. Up next, Scotland at home to England. That promises to be a cracker tomorrow. Of course, it's France against Italy. And then a quick turnaround and we roll on to weekend 2 next weekend.
Cross forward. Dropped.
Cian Healy still putting it in all these years later. 34 years of age, 113 international caps.
Okay, time back on, let's go.
Remarkable career. Change for Wales in the second row. Ben Carter is in, and in his place, he's gone into the place, I should say, of Will Rowlands. Carter, late addition to the Welsh squad. Seb Davis, back spasm earlier today, and the promotion of Carter.
Set. Strike.
Bundyaki.
It's not on it. Release. Outside. Taken back.
Murray, Byrne. And it's stolen by Basham, and out of nowhere Wales will get their first points of the championship. Taine Basham gets in. There was a big tackle in there. I think it was Thomas that made it. We'll confirm it on the replay. But it spilt the ball free, and Basham was there to profit. Open side in for Wales' first try of the Guinness Six Nations for 2022, and boy did Wales need that.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic drop tackle there. Play on the ground, just trying to keep the ball alive, but Taine Basham was too aware of it. And as much as we say, you know, it's been a tough day at the office for Wales, there have been certain players that have certainly stood up for me, and Taine Basham would be one of them, and not just because he got that try there. Here we see Taine Basham, clever play, getting right in the passing channel.
And it was Thomas who made the tackle that created it on Tadhg Beirne. Just chopped him down, forced Beirne into making the decision to try and get it away. And Basham on hand. Third international try on his Six Nations debut, 29 points to 7. That has a far better look from Wales' perspective.
Dominant hit, no foul play.
Sheedy ships it on to Aaron Wainwright. Still there for Gareth Davis and Wales. Getting to that time where we'll find out who the player of the match, not one that's picked by Philippa, it's done by the local broadcaster.
Last feed.
From your perspective, candidates for player of the match, we'll get to those in a minute. As Keenan takes the ball and Conor Murray tries to get his hands on it and eventually does. Here's Ryan Baird. Ringrose, he's to duck his way. He's definitely been up there in terms of performance for Ireland. Conor Murray makes the break, goes to ground, needs support. O'Mahony the first to arrive, a Welsh body over the ball, but referee sticks out an arm, and it's a penalty because of our hands on the deck.
I didn't see that.
2.5 minutes. We talked about players of the match, candidates. The decision has been made by the local broadcaster, Donal Lenihan, the man who makes the decision. Mac Hansen, the Guinness Six Nations player of the match. Hard to argue for a guy on debut.
Absolutely, and we said, didn't we, he's nearly ticked every single box on a debut. The only thing we said he needed to get now was a try, but actually he's gone one better. He's got player of the match. Yeah, he got his hands on the ball, early doors, showing a lovely little bit of speed, awareness with that chip over. Yeah. But then it was the amount of linking play he's done for me this game that has really made him stand out. He might as well scrap off the number off his back, just put wing, because he has been as much on the right wing as he has on the left. He's been going back and forth, working incredibly hard, always making sure he's there as a linking option.
Dreams are made of debuts like that as Josh van der Fleer comes around the corner. Then Dan Sheehan steps his way and then powers his way to some forward momentum. Bundyaki, who started it all for Ireland. Joey Carbery thought about the pass over the top, left it instead for Conor Murray, and Murray looks to make the break, almost gets away. Ball there once more for Ireland. Peter O'Mahony as the tackle comes in from Lewis. Ireland do the clear out work. Murray, Keenan, Hansen over on that wing, looking to get his hands on the ball, but he won't. It's knocked forward by an Irish hand. It'll be a scrum put in Wales.
Again, Wales just managing to hang in there. I mean, that's one thing that the management will be pleased with, is the heart of these players. They certainly haven't given up. You did feel, you know, at any point, if Ireland just got one extra little bit of momentum, the floodgates really could have opened, and it may seem like a strong scoreboard, but it's not a true reflection on the game. Ireland really had to work hard to be able to build that.
Locks in.
Yep, but 20.9 points to nil with 20 minutes left in the game. You thought they could be staring down the barrel of a 50-point defeat.
Yep, absolutely.
Such was the dominance of Ireland in that opening 10-15 minutes of the second half. That's where all the damage was done.
Got it, thank you. Stay up. Grabbing sideways and collapse.
We'll get one more passage of play. This will go to touch from Sheedy. Then it'll be a penalty, so throw to the line out.
Green peas.
Step off, tight!
Thanks, Peter.
53.
Davis. Referee finds himself on his backside, as does Louis Rees-Zammit. And Ireland to turn the ball over. Tadhg Beirne looking for a fifth try. Conor Murray turns around and sets up again. Finlay Bealham.
And away.
Not what Wales needed in the dying embers of this game. Another defensive set. Murray, Carbery, little show, little go. 22 beckons. Beirne bursts into it. Tadhg Beirne, round one, almost around a second. Bundee Aki on his shoulder. Aki 6 meters away, but crawls on the ground, and then there was side entry as well. And that really should be that. Wales will call a halt to this one. Callum Sheedy has the penalty, into touch. Could have kicked it to himself and then sent it to touch, but they're going to play again. What about this for a break from the Munster man?
This was just incredible. Well-timed, spots the disconnect there between the two outside guards. Conor Murray, just a soft little lift. A little bit of connection, a little bit of engagement with the front line, and then just that soft lift. Really good in thinking.
Wales giving it back to Ireland and just piling the pressure on themselves again. Tadhg Beirne.
No, 12!
Murray once more.
Not straight.
Carbery almost gets around, but is put to ground on that 22 once again. Aki gets it away, as does Tadhg Beirne. Through the hands. O'Mahony.
Not held, play on.
O'Mahony still. Murray looks for it. McHanson is skipped. Cian Healy. Ryan Baird into the Welsh 22. Ireland building once more. Murray. Bundee Aki. Wales continue to make the tackles, but they're tired tackles. So much has been asked of them defensively in this second half, and still they have to do the work. Van der Fleer, Beirne, launched into the air, but holds onto the ball. Hume, Ringrose, out wide, the man of the match, the debutant, McHanson, sets it up. And that will surely be that. It is. Echo Faber calls a halt to a game where Ireland have been in control for most. They scored the tries when they were needed. When Wales at times looked like they'd get in, Ireland found a way to up the tempo and shut them down. In the end, they'll consider it a terrific first day at the office. A bonus point win at the start of the Guinness Six Nations Championship. They'll take it every day. Final score, Ireland 29, Wales 7. And Philippa, that is it. I mean, a bonus point win on your opening day at home, you'll take that. The momentum of this championship, be it male, female, under 20, we know it is so important to win on day one. A bonus point win, couldn't ask for more.
Absolutely, and it's the variety of ways in which they scored their tries as well. Out wide, short carries, they showed everything. In moments, Ireland looked excellent. There were some real momentum moments, incredible carries, incredible work rate at the ruck area, but it was a bit of a classic first game of the tournament. There were definitely things they're not going to be happy with, definitely consistency in being clinical, but a fantastic point to start from. And my days, if they're only going to get better, they could be title contenders.
And from Wales's perspective, yes, they held on, and they held on bravely and indeed well in that first half, and indeed at the end of the second half. But with confidence low and tries scored against you like that, and on the end of what was a significant beating in terms of Tier 1 nations, it's a really hard place to drag yourself up from for round 2 next week, isn't it?
It really is. There's going to be a lot of soul searching this week. Like I say, defensively, yes, they're missing some big players, but equally, your connectivity, your defensive plan, your basic alignment, staying together, they need to be working a little bit harder for one another. They're not going to be the biggest team. They're not going to make massive shots. We saw glimpses when they started to chop Ireland that they started then to get some confidence from their defence, and they were stealing the ball, playing off that. Reactive play, playing off scraps. That's when they could build themselves into it. But they just didn't get that confidence enough from their defence.
And the problem is you just don't have the options now. So shorn is the player pool at that level that it's not like he can turn around and make wholesale changes, Wayne Pivac.
No, because he's already dipping into the stores, if you will. But hey, it's 18 months out from a World Cup. We all know that in World Cups, you've got to go into those stores. So potentially second choice, third choice players are getting valuable experience at this level, which can only aid the development for Wales looking to the bigger picture of that World Cup.
So that's all for next week, but let's continue to live in the moment and hear from the man of the match, who is down on the sideline, Mack Hansen. Well, dreams are made of days like this. And Mack Hansen is with the sideline reporter today, who's Claire McNamara.
Mack Hansen, congratulations, you are the Guinness player of the match. It's pretty much been a dream debut for you. To think that you only arrived in Ireland a couple of months ago to today's performance.
It was, the guys inside me just made my job a whole lot easier. Our forwards and backs, we're all just running great lines and playing very well together. It's what we've been working for the last couple of weeks in Portugal, so to have it all come together like that was just really special. It's in front of a packed crowd as well. It's great to see fans back here.
What's it been like to make your debut for Ireland today, to make this huge step up to international rugby so quickly?
It's honestly, it's been a dream come true. Everyone here has adopted me as their own, and I couldn't be prouder to be Irish, so yeah.
And as a kid, you watched on in the early hours in Australia, in Canberra, watching Ireland games. I presume your family are doing the same at this moment back in Australia?
I think so. I think all my family friends back home are watching, so shout out to all of them. I got some special messages throughout the week, and it just made this whole week so special for me, and I couldn't be happier, to be honest.
And an incredible start for Ireland too to this tournament.
Sorry?
Incredible start for Ireland too to this tournament.
Yeah, it's a great start to start we wanted, but now we've got to get on to the next job. We know that it's going to be a very tough game in France next week, so we just got to move our focus. We'll enjoy it tonight, and then come tomorrow we move our focus to France.
Well, congratulations, Mack Hansen, on your memorable debut.
Thank you very much.
You come to terms with just how significant a day it was, and Dan Biggar starts the process of trying to do a little bit of healing in that Welsh team. It's a big ask, but it's players like him that will set the tone for the next 7 days towards round 2. As he does that, his opposite number for Ireland, Jonathan Sexton, you can see him in shot. Let's hear what he has to say.
Ireland captain Johnny Sexton, bonus point win on opening day. You'll definitely take that.
Yeah, big time against the reigning champions. To come away with 5 points, like, would have snapped your hand off at the start of the game. We looked out the window this morning. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty. Thankfully, the rain stayed away for most of the part, but the wind played its part, especially in both halves really. So we knew if we could get a good foothold in the game in the first half, playing into the elements, that second half we had the breeze behind us, and we could use it to our advantage.
How pleasing is it that you've built on this very good form that you had in the autumn?
Yeah, look, it's never going to be perfect in your first game like it wasn't today. We've got lots to improve on. you know, and we will pick apart the performance like we have all the time. But it's a big thing to be doing it off the back of a win. Last year, first game, you know, the Grand Slam is gone, the Triple Crown is gone, everything's gone in one game. You know, you're up against it to win the championship. So we've got everything to play for, and that's where you want to be in this competition. You can build momentum, and but we know there's a massive test ahead next week. To go to Paris and get a result is incredibly tough, and we're going to have to be at our very best to get there.
Yeah, you know more than anyone how hard it is to win over there, but you go there in a very good position.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be going in a good position as well. You know, a lot of the teams in this tournament have been going in with, you know, their confidence up off a good November, and people finishing well at the, you know, in summer tests, etc. So, you know, but I think France are in a good place as well. So it's going to be a hell of a test.
Good for you too to get game time. You took quite a blow to the chin there at one point.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blow, but look, that's rugby at times, and thankfully it was okay and able to play on, and we made the yellow card tell with a couple of tries, which is the most important thing.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you very much.
The Sexton of where his side is.
Yeah, absolutely, as we sort of discuss moments of absolute brilliance, but definitely some things they're going to want to work on, and especially if they're going away to France, they're going to have to be more clinical than that.
No doubt about that. He will have to up the game for France next week. Speaking of up the game, well, let's hear what Dan Biggar has to say about this one and what lies ahead.
Dan, difficult day for you, and a day that very little went right.
Yeah, we didn't get much right. Credit to Ireland, they played really well, played the conditions well, strangled us, physically dominated us, and they were good value for their win today. But it'll be tough watching back on Monday, because the big thing we focused on all week was physicality and matching that from Ireland, and yeah, we didn't quite get it right if we're honest, and Ireland just dominated that area, and it became too difficult for us to get on the front foot.
And I suppose no getting away from the fact that you missed so many experienced players.
Yeah, obviously that's an issue, but it didn't, you know, the physicality was what we were missing today, and that's a huge, you know, discipline and physicality, and between those two things, even if we'd have had experienced players, you know, sometimes we've come here and come on the back foot as well. So just a pretty disappointing afternoon. We know that we haven't got long to get it right ahead of a massive game next week in Cardiff, and if we've got any aspirations of keeping hold of this trophy, then it's a must-win next week.
Yeah, you really do have to pick things up very much, but obviously you'll be delighted to get back home to Cardiff. Yeah,
you know, obviously home advantage is key, and it was a big advantage for Ireland today. We're hoping that we can use that next week and put in a better show. We'll have some honest feedback and honest reviews in the week, and it's you know, we need to find a bit more of an edge to us. I think we didn't quite have that today for some reason, and we need to look into why.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, similarly to Jonathan Sexton, Dan Biggar absolutely honest in his assessment of what's happened out there today and what lies ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's that physicality. You know, we've talked about big names, and you know, he says there it doesn't always matter about the big names. It's something that you can bring together as a team, being able to front up. And there were plenty of occasions at the ruck area in the initial tackle where Ireland just got the better of them.
Well then, that's the story of match one, the Guinness Six Nations for 2022. Ireland defeating Wales, and comprehensively so, with a bonus point win. It finished Ireland 29, Wales 7. Off to Edinburgh with you.